What is up, my ninjas? Shinobi here with another Diablo 3 Reaper of Souls video for you guys. And today I want to talk about a few things about Diablo, obviously. And I've been pushing the Barbarian quite a bit. You'll see in the background I'm attempting to do a tier 51, which would give me like 3rd place on the NA leaderboards. And with a little bit of time left in the season, there's only about a week left in the season. It will be ending on April 5th for North America. And you know, there's not much time left, and I've been kind of just trying to really fine-tune the gear, really get the gear going for the Barb, trying to find that Ancient Furnace. Unfortunately, haven't been able to find one. I do have an Ancient Heart Slaughter, though. I am going to run through some of the gear and everything after this intro part here and kind of show you some of the items that I found and talk a little bit more in depth about my plans for the future and all that kind of stuff. But as far as this season has gone for Season 2, there wasn't really a lot introduced in the season, and Season 3 is something that I think a lot of people are looking forward to, and I definitely am looking forward to it myself. I've definitely gotten burned out on playing the Raycore Barb. There are a lot of RNG factors that need to line up, especially for the Raycore Barb, in order to do something like a 50 plus, 51, 52, something like that. If in this next week here I did put together a group of, like, you know, people to farm the trials and get a bunch of 50 pluses and 51, 52, 53, 54s, things like that. You know, and I did get the right Rift Guardian, I did get the power conduit, I did get the right mobs, I did get the right map types, you know, things like that. If the stars aligned, the current gear setup that I have, I definitely could do that high of tier. But it takes a lot of time to do that. There's a lot of, you know, RNG involved to get something like that to pan out, and I really don't want to spend the next week, you know, pushing that really hard. You know, I've completed up to tier 46 so far, and I haven't really tried anything in between there, really. I've done like 48s and just barely missed it because of, you know, just getting the wrong Rift Guardian or whatever. Like I said, there's a lot of RNG involved. You know, the Raycore Barb doesn't have good single targets, so you got to get the power conduit. You got to get the right Rift Guardian that has less health, like a Stone Singer, Saxtress. These are just a couple examples, which I've talked about in previous videos, and it's something that I feel is really lacking in the game. And then, you know, in the Blizzard Tavern talk, they talked about how you know, they had no plans to really do anything about the RNG that is in the rifts. They like the fact that it takes you a lot of attempts to be able to clear a rift. I feel like after a while it just kind of burns you out and makes it not as fun. You know, you spend you know, 13 minutes in a rift and you're like, okay, this is the moment, and the Rift Guardian spawns and then you instant leave. You know, it's just kind of something that just kind of takes a little bit of the fun out of it. Hopefully in Season 3 we'll see some kind of improvements to RNG. I do believe RNG needs to be in there because it does help with longevity. It makes you want to play more and experience more things. But there's enough RNG and loot dropping, especially with ancient legendaries, getting the right items, fine-tuning your gear, and, you know, the rifts themselves, they have a lot of RNG in them. So, you know, it is better nowadays than it was before, but I really don't feel like pushing the Barbarian in this last week here to really try and get a 50 plus or something like that. I have gotten really close a couple times, but like I said, you know, you don't get the right situation to line up. So, you know, instead of really burning myself out to do that at this, you know, for this whole next week and then not enjoying Season 3 as much because I'm so burnt out on the game, just doing repetitive things over and over again, I think I'm going to take a little bit of time to kind of assess what I want to do in Season 3, get prepared for Season 3, and because there's going to be a lot of cool things there. I want to try and play like pretty much all the classes. I pretty much want to try and play, you know, so I can do like lots of class guides, come up with cool build ideas, come up with a lot of cool stuff like that. You guys know that on this channel here, you know, for the longest time, that's the kind of stuff that I've done, and it's been very difficult to do stuff like that because, you know, like I talked about like 6 or 7 months ago, tell the build diversity needs to be better, and finally Blizzard is doing that. There's going to be more options and more viability in the sets that you use and the specs that you do and everything like that. So definitely looking forward to it and everything like that. And like I said, Season 3 will be coming up pretty shortly here, so I'm looking forward to that. And I am streaming as I normally do, and I'm putting up content and all that, so I hope you guys will be looking forward to that stuff in the future. So let's go ahead and run through the gear and everything that I have on the Barb. Some interesting items that I have found that I think is pretty interesting, so let's get into that stuff right now. Alright, so here we are in town on my Barb here. Now, taking a quick glance at the time played for this season, one reason why there hasn't been a lot of videos lately is my grandfather passed, and I've been having a lot of tax stuff that I have to take care of. For streaming, for YouTubers and streamers, a little bit more complex than it is for a lot of other jobs out there, so I have to kind of go through a lot of that stuff. So I haven't been able to put as much time as I wanted to in this season, but then again, like I said in the beginning of the video, there hasn't been a lot of new additions to the game, so I've just mainly been focusing on just playing the Barb, and that's about it. This Barb here, I did make 2 Barbs. This one has 104 hours playtime, and this one has 167 hours playtime, so that is about 271 hours playtime total between the two of them, and that's pretty much just playing Barb the entire time. Like the Monk, for instance, has 2 hours playtime. I didn't really even play it, I just power leveled it up, and then just kind of switched on, put on some gear that I found on the Barb. Here, only an hour and 49 minutes playtime. Demon Hunter was the only one that I really actually played for a few hours, just to see if I could find a couple items, maybe a weapon or something. And then the Crusader, I didn't even really play either. You know, because with Season 3 coming up, I want to play all these classes. I want to experience all this stuff like I've done in the past. You know, I'm never just known on my channel for just playing one class. I like to play a variety of stuff. So, yeah, and that's pretty much it. And my Paragon being 630 right now, that's pretty much just solo Paragon XP farming. I've just literally been doing like Greater Rift solo to farm, and just farming items, anything above like maybe probably between tier 37 and 42. Those are the ones that I'll just spam like crazy to farm and get a bunch of items, and you get a decent amount of gold, get a decent amount of XP. I mean, for solo getting 630, that's not too bad considering the amount of time that I've actually had to be able to put into it, so not too bad. So yeah, let's take a look at a couple items here first. These are all items, by the way, that I found on the Barb. So the Monk here got the Incest Torch, the Sun Wukus, like I have the 3-piece right now. I could spend like blood shards and stuff to get the shoulders and then actually play it, but there's not really much time left in the season, so I do that. Gundo gear, the Crudus boots, Ina belt. The Witch Doctor getting an Ancient Quizzicato, which is pretty funny, and just like a random Maximus I threw on there, an Ancient Jade Shoulder, and then it's just one of like a Fire Star there, just in case I was going to do like a pet build or something, a Zunimach chest. On the Demon Hunter, I actually found quite a few items in the Demon Hunter. That's why I messed around with it for a few hours to play, because I did find, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4-piece Marauders. I wanted to get the Marauder's chest or pants, but I found a Witching Hour that I could use on the Demon Hunter. I got this pretty decent EOE cold one there. Craft of the Reaper's Wraps. It's not a very good offhand, but it's a good starter offhand. I had a Stone of Jordan. That's actually a pretty nice Stone of Jordan for the Demon Hunter. I got a Unity, and then I found this actually on the Demon Hunter. I played it for like 2 hours, and that's about it after getting it leveled up, and I found this pretty quickly. So pretty interesting items to find there. And then on my Crusader here. Now, I know a lot of Crusader people are about to get really upset because I found Blade of Prophecy, and not only did I find one, but I found 2. I actually have another one in the inventory of my Crusader right now. If I were to log over there, you'd be able to see that. Now, it's not ancient, obviously, but this is something that I found on my Barb, you know, so it's ridiculous. Also getting, you know, the Akon helm, Akon pants, and Akon boots. Vigilante, obviously pretty easy to find on a Barb because, you know, it's something you could use on a Barb and a Crusader, but not something you probably would use on a Barb, right? So yeah, so that's just pretty much a few of those items. And yeah, so overall pretty interesting, the type of items that I were to find on these other characters here, for these other characters on my Barb. If you farm enough, if you farm efficiently enough, you play enough, you're gonna end up finding, as you can see, I found a bunch of items for other classes. And you know, so let's take a look at some of the items that I found for the Barb. So let's take a look at the stats real quick before we get into what I'm actually wearing. Probably throughout all of Season 2, I found about 20 plus gifts. These are just the ones that I haven't used. I use a lot to like reroll items and everything like that, and make weapons better for ults and everything like that, and just kind of things that I was testing out. But yeah, that's pretty much the setup there for the gifts. And then yeah, so pretty much you can see I have 1,349 Forgotten Souls, and I have a lot of stuff that I could salvage, if I needed to, and a lot of stuff with all my other characters too. Plus, I re-roll items very constantly. I tried getting a good Hellfire Amulet. Unfortunately, the best one that I did get was like this one right here, unfortunately. So, yeah, not really too ideal. But then looking over here, these are some of my, like, obviously having some of my Immortal King stuff. Some of those are ancient. I got, like, the Earthquake stuff. These are just kind of like other specs that I was kind of messing with, like kind of like going like a cooldown barb spec and stuff. Just kind of some stuff that I was testing, having like Cinder Coats and Doombringers, Azarath, Crutus Boot, the Lut Socks. Yeah, and then this was the first weapon that I actually found on my barb to like for a starter weapon pretty much. And then over here you can see all the furnaces. Yes, I probably found a couple more. I found a couple more, but I salvaged them just to make room and everything. And this is the best furnace that I did find. Unfortunately, did not get an ancient one. Would be really nice. It would definitely help with pushing the leaderboards more at the point where my gear is to really make a better push if I were to get an ancient furnace. But Heartslaughter is not too far off, and I did find that. But I did take quite a few tries, and you can see the Maximus, and I did get a couple of these ancient, but they're not ideal. Physical is kind of the ideal way you want to go. Then obviously a lot of these rare amulets, pretty much all of them rolled really bad. None of them I was able to actually get like crit damage, physical, like get the ideal stats. Like you can see on my EOE that I'm wearing, like that's the ideal stats. Like physical, crit damage, crit chance, socket, and then having your secondary there. So I was not actually able to get anywhere close to that on any of these items, unfortunately. This was like the best one that I found out of all of them, but then I lose a socket, so I lose, a toxin or a pain enhancer or something. So didn't really work out there as far as RNG to get the right stuff. Here, this one was like really close. I was like, oh man, that would have been sweet if that like vitality was like 90% crit damage or something. Then I could just re-roll, the resource cost into socket. Then I would have been like, wow, it's actually useful. But yeah. Pretty much is what happened there. And then here, obviously these are just like backup amulets and stuff in case I was like gearing up, and if I wanted to try out like additional specs or something, maybe go like if I did find like a Maximus Ancient first before I found the Heartslaughter, I could have went with like maybe a Fire Amulet here. It's really nice to kind of save a couple different elemental amulets, so just in case, especially on the barb, because you don't know which way you're gonna go. Now physical, like I said, is the best way to go, but if you were to find like an Ancient Maximus or like an like one of these Ancient, the Schaefer's Hammer, before you find the furnace, the Heartslaughter, then you do have options there. So that's why I saved a few of these just in case I wanted to try a couple different setups. I found quite a few Unities throughout the whole thing. I found quite a few Stone of Jordans. I have some of my other characters too. So nothing really too crazy. The one that I'm wearing right now is the best one that I found. And then found quite a few Witching Hours. I have one in my inventory here, so it's 5. I found 6 Witching Hours total, I think, through the season. Found a lot of EOEs, a lot of prides, yeah, so but like I will go over my gear, so quite a few things to find there. There's a lot of extras, like I found more Marauders boots, I found a Crider shot. These are all things I found on the barb, and some wizard stuff that I didn't even have time to use or anything like that, or try out. I found Aether Walker on my barb. So yeah, it can happen that way. I do think there needs to be a little bit more tuning to the smart loot, make it a little bit more precise on the class that you're playing. To find 2 bops and like all these crazy items from the other classes on my barb, like maybe every once in a while. It should be like a very rare occurrence. Not as much as I was finding it though. So yeah, there could be some things done there. Let's go over some of the items I have in my inventory now. So So here's the chain, which is nice for T6 runs. You can go through, use this, get some nice boost of speed to you and your group, and farm T6 pretty quickly. I did use this quite a bit. There's my Witching Hour. Witching Hour I even used while farming like up to tier 45. You can get away with it. Anything past that area, you got to rely on the Pride belt. And then Undisputed Champion is okay up to like maybe the mid 40s, but yeah, that's pretty much you know, it's a pretty decent one, but Frenzy is not that great, and you can't really stand next to Rift Guardians in the high tiers, and it's more comes down to getting, you know, the power conduit and things like that in the higher stages, so something like this becomes obsolete, so it's all about survivability at that point, so that's why Pride is just much better. And then you have the BK here, and this is just something that I would use when I was in groups, so when I didn't use Unity, and then Strongler Embracers sometimes I would use in trials or something like that to kind of help out with that, or maybe even doing T6, but usually in T6 I'd use like this because I could just click the shrines and get more elite packs and get more legendaries to drop. But I didn't really do T6 that much, and I only probably played in groups maybe 10% of the time, and that was about it through the whole season. So yeah, and then this is okay to have too for the trials. You can replenish your cooldowns, pretty decent. Yeah, and this is also a decent item here. Now this is something that some players might think that's kind of a weird item to want to use, but the shadow clones that you spawn, they actually do decent amount of damage, and you can spawn them with your ground stomp. So pretty decent to get a little bit of added damage every 30 seconds. You know, they last for 15 seconds, and it's every 30-second cooldown, so it's pretty much only a downtime of 15 seconds, and that's it. So it does give you some added damage, but when you get to the high tiers, it's more about survivability than it is about having something like that. So if you're really trying to squeak out some extra damage on a tier 45, 46, 47, or something like that, then you definitely could get away with using something like this. But yeah, but EOE, in my opinion, the best amulets are EOE, the Hellfire amulet, and the immunity amulets, like you saw in my stash there. Those are the three best ones that you'd want to go for. But this is somewhat of a viable option, and I did complete 46 multiple times with this, and you know, getting close to completing 48s and 49s and stuff, just not getting the right RNG to line up. And then also, let's take a look at the gear here. So I do have my Vile Wards right here. Would have liked to get more cooldown reduction on there. Couldn't find a better Vile Ward. This is literally the best one that I found, and that pretty much goes for all. That goes for all the gear I'm wearing right now. Raycore, never got a good ancient one. I found quite a few ancient ones, probably about 5 or 6, and never got one that was good enough to even consider. So this is the best one there. I showed you this earlier. This was a decent one. I would like to get resistance in the secondary and reduce ranged or melee attacks. That would have been nice for the secondary, but primaries lined up pretty nice, and I tried re-rolling Furious Charge on both of these like so many times, never could get the 15%. Yeah, and yeah, and then this is my Ancient Parlor Defenders that I got pretty early in Season 2, actually, back when I was like rank 4 for a while. For the first 2 weeks I was like top 10, and I found these actually pretty quickly, and they're very strong. Like, these are probably the best Parlor Defenders I've ever seen in the game. Like, they're so good, and yeah, just so good. And then we have the Pride here, which I'm using, and you want to go for 6 seconds. That's, you know, ideal to get up there. Strength, Vitality, Resistance, Life percent, just like you see it right there. The only thing that'd be better if this was Ancient, pretty much. And then Unity here, instead of Strength, you'd want crit damage. So, and then you want to have obviously your crit damage, crit chance, elite damage, socket, and over here instead of the strength, you'd want to have crit damage. So you'd have physical, crit damage, elite damage, and resistance and secondary with the socket. So yeah, and that's pretty much it. So yeah, the best Stone of Jordan that I found, unfortunately, but pretty good. Then the pants here, we want to go in for resist all, so strength, vitality. And the only way this would have been better is it would have been ancient. This one was ancient here, so pretty nice pickup for sure. So I like it. And then the weapon, of course, the Heart Slaughter. Best one that I found, best weapon that I found, period, throughout the entire season. This could have rolled higher damage on the mid-max there, you know, and gave me a little bit added more, maybe another 5% damage. That would have been nice, but at the same time, you know, it's very, very difficult to not only get an Ancient Heart Slaughter or an Ancient Furnace, but to get them to roll well. You know, your chances are very, very slim, as you saw from all the items that I found. So yeah, it's just kind of the best setup that I had. Like I said in the previously, earlier in the video, you know, with this weapon, with this gear setup, this character is capable of doing tier 50 plus. It would just take a shit ton of RNG to, you know, literally do trials like crazy, pretty much like stay up 20 hours a day doing trials and get all the keys, you know, then spend up 20 hours a day spamming those rifts over and over again. And yeah, that's just a little too much RNG for me right now. I'd rather just wait till Season 3 if I'm going to go full out on something, especially if I'm going to be covering a lot of classes. So that was pretty much everything there. If you guys have any questions, put them down in the comments below. The build is pretty standard build. You know, just wrenching smash to pull things in. You got Call the Ancients with Fire, Ignore Pain, Ignorance is Bliss for that self-healing. Battle Rage, Bloodshot. This is why physical is really good for the Barb. And then Furious Charge, you put it on a physical rune because you are physical damage, and Wrath of the Berserker, Insanity, then Ruthless, Rampage, Berserker Rage, and Boon. If you were to get a Hellfire Amulet, you'd want to get one of these four to be on it, or you'd want to get the you know, a Brawler to be on it. And there might be another option, not too sure, I'd have to test a little bit, but you have about 5 options when it comes to a Hellfire Amulet. But getting it to roll well is not easy. You probably crafted about 60 of them in Season 2, and you saw the one that I got the best of right there. And yeah, so Season 3 is coming up soon, guys, and this is the anniversary thing going on right now, Gold Find and Experience. And I'm not going to utilize this stuff too much. I have 3.4 billion gold, and that's literally just from doing greater rifts solo by myself, just casually, sometimes pushing it hard, sometimes not, because I've been busy with stuff. So looking forward to making lots of videos in the future, guys. And this week here on Twitch, I will be streaming. I'll probably be doing some Diablo, but I'm going to probably play a couple games that I've been meaning to want to play for a while now. So I might do a little bit of Hearthstone. I know you guys haven't seen that in a while. Might do a little League of Legends. Might try do a couple different things, just kind of take a little bit of a break from pushing the character so hard. I've done, I don't know if there's a way to look up the stats on this character, how many greater rifts I've done on this character in Season 2, but I guarantee it's over 1,000. But yeah, I don't think they really have anything about like how many greater rifts I've done. That would have been cool to kind of see that. Maybe there's a way I can look at it up on the website or something, but I guarantee I've done over 1,000 greater rifts easy in Season 2 here. So, you know, I've already kind of worn myself out on doing greater rifts, so I'm going to kind of save some of that stuff and save some of that energy for Season 3, and looking forward to it, guys. So if you guys let me know in the comments what kind of specs, what kind of classes, what kind of builds would you like to see in videos coming up, leave that stuff down in the comments. I'm looking forward to reading that. And you know, I got a lot of video stuff that I'm planning for the future, a lot of stream stuff I'm planning, and Season 2 I feel like could have gone better. Obviously there could have been more content, but Season 3 hopefully will make up for that. Anyways, guys, that's it for me today. And until next time, thanks for watching.